Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to another episode of Healthy Happy Hour here at Neighborhood Medical Center. I am Joseph Ward, and as you know, joining me is Mr. Mathias Sweet, my main man. What's going on, Mathias?
Not so much, just working, Joe. Trying to keep my head above water on this Monday.
Hey, you better start swimming fast.
I'm
You know
trying,
how
I'm
it is.
trying. Look, I'm trying to swim.
Right. So once again, welcome back. For our returning viewers, thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for viewing all of our content and supporting us. If you are a new viewer, this is Healthy Happy Hour. This is a monthly recording that we do here in Neighborhood Medical Center, which is usually, if COVID is not around, it's an in-person event where we invite different people from our community who are resourceful, who are staples in our community, who can provide resources to others. And we give them this platform to be able to tell us about how they serve our community. And today would be no exception, but we do have an exceptional individual today. Comes from a background where I come from, the realm of sports. I love sports. I understand how sports can help to transform the life of a young man or a young woman. Sports can instill discipline. Sports can instill teamwork. Sports can instill self-esteem. And sports can help a person learn to achieve goals and not give up on themselves. And so those are things that I learned from the realm of sports. And I've seen personally how, if done correctly and with the right leaders and the right mentors, sports can literally transform the life of a person or even a family. And if you bring the resources back, it can transform a community. And our guest today has been working in the realm of sports and helping to transform the lives of individuals and communities. He's a former head basketball coach at Florida A&M with the men and women. He is the founder of the Insights Network, and he's using his platform, the sports background and the media background. He's bringing it together to make sure that he can help those in his community, and has an excellent YouTube channel that we're going to get into. So I'd like to welcome Coach Mickey Clayton to our platform. How you doing?
Thank you. That's a pretty good introduction, and that money I sent you for that introduction, you did a good job on it.
There you go.
That's why I sent cash.
You hear that, everybody?
You hear that right? He getting monetary donations. Joe, we gonna talk about that.
Right. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here once again.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, and it's reciprocal. I appreciate you being on our show earlier, on one of the more watch shows that we had when we discussed COVID-19 and kind of trying to dispel some of the rumors and then try to speak some truths to people that really needed it. And I didn't get a chance to tell you how much commentary we received from people who were really struck by some of the truths that you spoke.
Thank you. Yes, sir. We definitely look to return the favor with that. So I know people are going to learn a lot from this. So before we kind of get into your platform and how you've been using sports and everything to serve the community, and I did gave some brief information about yourself, but could you give us some background information about yourself? Like, how did you get into coaching and be able to reach the level that you are now?
Well, the level I am now comes from hard work. It's called retired. That means bro man does what bro man wants to do.
That's a good place.
And for all you people who aren't retired, younger guys, one of the things you have to do is you have to look towards that time. When you look to do what you wish to do, you want to look and be able to retire in a situation that's best for you and your family, and that you can do and live the lifestyle that you want to live. So you put in all the time, all the hard work while you're young, so you could receive some of the benefits later. I got started coaching. I actually had graduated from Florida A&M University and played basketball. Well, I was on the team for 4 years. I played for 4 years. But I was on the team. Anybody from those early days remember me as a brother with the big afro sitting on the bench drinking water, handing it out to the guys when they come out the game. But I wanted to stay a part of the game. And I lived in Cleveland a year, which is where I'm originally from, my mother's from. And I came back to A&M to get certified to teach so that I could coach. And my academic advisor told me, he said, Coach, you majored in psychology. You're not in education. By the time you get certified to teach, you can get a master's degree in education. So with no plans or intentions to go back to graduate school, I ended up being able to secure my master's degree in a year. They started the women's athletic program when I graduated, and the women's athletic director was looking for somebody to coach her basketball team. And I went down and talked to her. I talked to Bethune-Cookman's basketball coach, who was Cy McLaren, a friend of the family. He said, I can't hire you because FAMU doesn't have a sister basketball coach now. So when FAMU gets one, I could hire one. I went home to junior college, Brevard Junior College, and they were going to hire me there and teach psychology and be the assistant basketball coach. And they offered me the position with the women's coach here at home. And
okay. But I want to give a shout out to all the psychology graduates from Florida A&M University. No, we're a special breed of people.
absolutely.
Yes.
But all the stuff they teach you in class, when they tell you when you try to get a job in psychology that you don't have experience, I worked a year in Cleveland on the psychiatric unit in the county jail. You know, you ain't know. You talk about the criminally insane. Oh my God! All that stuff you read about, you see it in person.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember we had a guy that was an inmate, and all he did was walk all day long, just looking.
Mm-hmm.
So we asked him, we said, is that what you do? Is that all you do? And he started going backwards. I was like, oh no, this is too. And when you see a guy in a catatonic state where his body does not move and he looks like he's frozen,
they
start hallucinating, and they got a pencil and they're trying to stab you because they think that the parrot is on your shoulder that's telling on them.
Oh, that sounds like my life at my other job.
Woo, it's a little special.
That's funny. That's funny. So you get into coaching. So if I make sure I heard you correctly, FAMU didn't have a women's athletic program at the time?
It was brand new. Their Title IX had just been passed, and they had decided that none of the colleges had been supporting women's athletics like they needed to. And so Title IX actually gave each institution money to be able to start their women's programs. So at that time, I was the one who started the women's program. And first game we had, we played Florida State, lost by 51.
Ooh.
And you have to remember now, at that time, all we had were young ladies on campus who just basically wanted to play. So we had an intramural team. But the next year, we split with them. We were able to go out and recruit. And we were able to split with Florida State. And it was always the game of the year because we played them twice each year. And we didn't win all the time, but we didn't lose all the time. Your women's basketball team at Florida A&M, we actually had more wins against Florida State than all the other programs in the institution combined.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So, okay, so being able to see FAMU, especially FAMU's women's basketball program where it is now in 2021, but you were there from the inception till now. So looking back on your because you contributed a lot, but looking back on your contribution to FAMU's women's basketball program and just seeing the growth over the years, like what are your thoughts and how impressed are you with where women's basketball at Florida A&M is now?
Well, a lot of HBCUs quickly jumped on the bandwagon in terms of getting people in and supporting their programs. I mean, there was one year we would actually see votes for top 20 in the country because we had beaten number 10 ranked Auburn at the time and were undefeated. And we had a young lady get hurt, and we kind of struggled a little bit after she got hurt. But we were rolling pretty good one time. In women's sports, you can actually work very hard and still excel because there's always some young ladies that are playing in smaller towns and communities that don't really get the exposure. Now, men's basketball, because I was also the men's coach as well, and won the tournament, played Duke in the first round of the NCAA. And men's basketball is so exploited. I mean, the little kids start, in the Central Florida area, they're down there, they got camps and training programs, they got gyms they build in their 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and they're working them out. So it's hard to be a good basketball player as a male and nobody knows about you.
Right.
And one of the things that always concerns me about our parents is that, especially single moms, is that so many people try to take control of your children. And dads, they don't really try quite as much with dads because they know that the black male figure is a little bit stronger. They try to take advantage of some of the women, not thinking that they know. But a lot of the women now are former athletes, so it's not as easy for them as they think.
Right.
But they try very hard to gain control of our kids. And they'll turn the kid. I have actually seen them turn the kids against their parents because they're exploiting them to get something from them.
Right. And with that being said, that's why I am happy with the new NIL rule, the name, image, and likeness rule. I am happy with that now because I always thought it was unfair that you have these universities, especially getting our young black kids from a lot of these poor communities, kids who may not have as much exposure or any exposure at all to the business of athletics. And you bring them in, yes, they're exceptional. You bring them in and you're making all this money off of them. And then you got kids who are starving, you got kids who are lacking resources, depending on where you are on the athletic chain, depending on what school you are. So that's why I'm glad we do have this going on. But to see the growth, to see the movement from where it was to where it is now, it's looking back, it's crazy. But I'm happy we're in a better space with the athletes now.
Well, my opinion with the NIL, and I'm glad to see it because everybody else is making money off these kids, but the kids themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things, those large institutions still have an advantage.
Yes.
They have the boosters, they have the supporters, they have the background with people to make deals with these NIL for these kids coming in, and they pretty much recruit them, telling them what they can do to provide for them. And they get, now what happens is those people can give money to them legally. You know, they can have an autograph session and pay them $50,000 to see. And the things that we haven't really realized is who's going to teach these student athletes about the tax implications, about the fact that last year you didn't make any money.
Right.
Now you have to file taxes. You have to pay a certain amount back. Who sits there and talks to them about the responsibility of handling this money that you didn't have before? Right. So it's multifaceted, and we're glad, some of the HBCU athletes are beginning to secure some money, but a lot of them have parents that are entertainers and have the ability to do some things for them that the average parent doesn't have the ability to have set up for them. But I am 100% happy about it. We just have to have in place people almost full time to help manage this at our institutions, which on the other hand means now you have to have another staff person, which you already, everybody on your staff has 2 or 3 tasks anyway. Right. So, but they have departments at the major institutions that help do this for the kids.
So I have a question now. I'm not gonna claim I'm this great sport expert and all this other stuff. So can you explain what is it, the NIL, or saying those different terms? Because I follow a little bit of sports. I mean, like I said, I used to play football back in the day too. Back then. But now, just like really understanding, like everything has changed. So can you explain to people who don't know what I think it's the NIL, and what does that really entail and mean to sports today, that they're now able to, I guess, make money off of, for somebody who doesn't understand that process?
Oh, absolutely. From my understanding, it started back when they had those Madden games going in the college game.
Yes.
EA Sports, one of the biggest games out there with the college games.
Mm-hmm.
And the new ones would have the guys They were actually playing, had their names and everything. And some of the guys sued them.
Yep.
Because they weren't getting any of the money. Well, in a court case that the NCAA fought as long as they could, the courts ruled in the student athlete's favor that they should be able to receive payment for using Mathias' name. You're not getting a dime, but they're using your name and they got you showing tackles and this and that, and
Right.
but you're not getting a dime. So when they won, it changed the whole landscape. And the NCAA, which is losing its grip over control of sports now, had to come up with a way for these young men and young women to make some money off of themselves, because the Supreme Court told them what they were doing was illegal.
Right.
So they had to change. It wasn't anything that they wanted to do.
Right.
You know, especially in football, because football is a moneymaker. I mean, the NCAA doesn't even control it too much. Each school controls its own destiny.
Yeah.
Right.
And they told NCAA, if you don't release us from the rules that you have, we're going to leave the NCAA and do our own thing. And they said, well, it's okay. You go ahead and do what you want to do then. We'll control basketball. And basketball NCAA tournament funds the whole NCAA institution for everything. They make that much money off the NCAA basketball tournament.
Right. Right. And so that's why, for me, like conversations like this, but people like you are in place to educate young athletes and empower young athletes, especially in the changing times with all this money. There's somebody at some university, they started the year a regular student. They're gonna end this year maybe a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions of dollars. You score 5 touchdowns in the game, here comes somebody calling with an endorsement. So
Right.
But that's dangerous though, Joe, because like who's gonna be able to, like, okay, this is just me thinking from the outside in. If I had a child that's playing, I would have a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, hands-on with my child to making sure about money management like I started with my child already. So like some of these kids come here, they don't have a dime, never had a dime, they don't know how ends gonna meet, they got a scholarship and that's all they know and they barely making ends meet. But now all of a sudden you give them $1 million, they trying to go buy cars, houses, all this other stuff. But like Mr. Clayton was saying earlier, like they got taxes they gotta pay. They got different things they gotta understand, like investing. Like you're not gonna be young forever. And you gotta be able to protect your assets for later. You can't just blow through $100,000 or $1 million in your first year of college and the next year you broken penniless and ain't got nothing to show for it. But now you got to still pay the government back their money, and you still don't even have that. So, is there anything in place to help them?
Oh, the larger institutions have departments to help them put things in place. We don't quite have it. Some of our institutions are putting it together. That's the one man or one person department that's doing it that also serves in other positions. It's a new task. It's a new assignment. It's something brand new. Some of the larger institutions saw this coming down the road and put something in place early.
Uh-huh.
When you have money to be able to do things and a rule change is coming, you implement new things and tactics to help your program to see how that would help them, how it would help your institution. So
right.
you put money in that so that you now use it as a recruitment tool, thinking that you're ahead of the game because I have it at my institution. And this is what we have coming in off the gate. People are getting more sophisticated. But see, in our situations, it's always a situation where, I won't say always, but a lot of times we have just our normal students that when they get their financial aid and things like that, they have to send a certain percentage of it home to help parents. And,
right.
You know, they send financial aid home and then don't have money to pay their rent or pay their books, you know. And I've seen a lot of situations. Some students I've had that worked for us in the booster office, and they would send money home so the parents could go on a vacation to go somewhere. And they were struggling trying to make ends meet. So, you know, it's
So
a little
free service for the students who get these endorsements and stuff, or is this something that they're going to have to pay for, like to have that resource or something like that? Is that going to be something that's free for the student, like as long as they work for the school? I mean, as long as they pay for the school, or is that something they're going to have to pay in addition to, or?
No, it's a contract they have individually with whatever company is sponsoring them.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing will happen, and I wonder myself, it has to be in their contract. If you transfer and go somewhere else, I'm sure that contract has to end. At least as a company, that's how I would construct it. If
Yeah.
you go for insights and you left the school that I was supporting and went somewhere else, I'm not going to pay you to go to that school.
Yeah. See, I didn't even think about that, because so now you really got my brain spinning. So let's say I go to University of whatever, and I have a Nike endorsement, but then I transfer to this other university who has an Under Armour endorsement. That's gonna be kind of a conflict in that. So I never thought about that.
Well, you would probably lose the Nike one, probably. But see, the thing that concerns me that we discussed on Mick and Rick on our Inside Show on Tuesdays is that what happens when you have somebody, because this is going to happen, because we actually had an assistant athletic director, FAMU graduate, Derek McGee. We had him on, and we did a little role playing where I was the coach, and I called him 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, Mr. McGee, my leading scorer in the strip club, he endorsing Bojangles strip club or Bam Bam strip club down there, and that's against the policy we have at the institution. What are we gonna do? You know, there's schools that set up rules and regulations on type of endorsements, no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, right, different things. But somebody is gonna try it. I mean, somebody's gonna try that. They're gonna be somewhere endorsing it so they can get in the club free with their boys. You know, they're just gonna do that. And how do you handle that? Because it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the first year doing it, so it's some things that have happened that most of us in the general public will never know.
Right. It's gonna be definitely some trial and error that's happening. So okay. So my next question is, so coaching in women's basketball was your start in collegiate coaching?
Yes, sir.
So how did you transition from coaching women's to men's collegiate basketball?
Well, for the period of time I wasn't coaching women, and I was working in the athletic department, and the men's coach, since passed on, Coach Booker, asked me to help him with the men's team. So I was an assistant with him for a couple years, and I think Coach Ron Brown had the men's team for a while, and they actually had released him before the season was over and asked me if I could serve as interim, and then I served as men's coach a few years after that.
Okay.
So we were able to win a conference title in men's basketball and in women's basketball, and we're the only program in America to win one in Division I with men and women, and the coach being from that same institution. I'm the only coach that's ever done that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Congratulations on that, because those accomplishments are hard to come by.
Yeah.
Now, and as a native Tallahassean, I wish those are things we learned more about, because that's one of my gripes about Tallahassee is we don't really learn a lot about the history of Tallahassee or even FAMU or FSU. So we kind of learn as we go. So I'm glad we're able to have this conversation and get more history about yourself at FAMU as a whole. So coaching men and women, what is, we know the obvious differences, men and women, like some physical attributes and things, but other than the obvious, what are some of the stark differences between coaching men's and women's basketball?
And there are some. Women athletes are a lot more sensitive, but also I've heard them say, Coach, you be yelling and going off on us, but if a woman was going off on me like that, you'd have to throw hands. You know, and they want you to show them how to do things correctly, fundamentals, left hand, right hand, things like that. Guys don't want to learn that. I'm gonna dunk anyway, so it's not important for me to learn how to use my left hand, because I'm gonna throw it down on you, so it doesn't matter. if the girls are having a bad day in practice and they piss you off, and you're like, man, y'all just get out the gym. We get out of here. We not gonna do nothing. Man, they run out the gym so quick they'd be in the mall in 15 minutes. The guys, oh, they have a fit. Oh, we'll get it straight. No, coach, don't put us out the gym. If you put them out the gym, you better go to Day Street, because they took over Day Street. They're over there playing. I mean, it's something they want to do. They remember every single play in practice. And if you're doing a game tape, they can tell you every single thing that's going on before it happened. Watch what's getting ready to come. This is when that happened. And I'm looking there at them, and I'm like, you guys remember the things that you want to remember. But you can't remember turning in your history assignment. You can't remember that. But you remember what you want to remember. You know, so those were some of the big differences. And if you feed them every now and then, the girls had to go somewhere nice.
Mm-hmm.
You had to take them somewhere nice that was just something for them to be able to have a real. The guys just wanted to have a lot. If it was a lot of food,
Yeah,
it didn't matter. They wanted all you could eat, wherever you could go, and they were gonna eat until you made them get up. But the girls wanted to sit down, the young ladies wanted to sit down and have a nice meal sometime, but the guys could care less. They just, hey, all you could eat pizza, that's good. Let's stop there.
So I
yeah,
got I got a question. So I always think about the academic portion of it. And I always, I never shoot people dreams down or nothing like that. But everybody's not going to make it to the pros. Everybody's not going to make it to a college team. What is in place for the people who, do make it, but then at their end of the year coming up, because we done had a couple of interns and things like that all they know is football, all they know is basketball. And it's like, their last year now, and I can't play no more now. Their whole resume is nothing but college sports. Don't have a clue about the real world. And like, what do y'all have in play for that to help those players transition who's not going to make it to the league or make it professionally or anything like that? Do y'all have something set up in place for that as coaches to assist those individuals?
Well, let me speak for what Coach Clayton did.
Okay.
I came from an academic background, and we had I was academic counsel with Upper Bound and Special Services and
Shout out to Upper Bound.
Yeah, see, so all our kids that came in through those programs, but we had tutors set up for them, academic advisors set up for them, and as they matriculated out of it, they had to have a certain grade point average where they were no longer required to have tutors or study hall. They didn't have to go to mandatory study hall if they had a certain grade point average. But we also had study hall set up on the road where when we traveled, we would either secure a conference room and everybody would be in the conference room and we would be studying, and the staff would go around and help tutor and provide assistance so that we can help keep them on track. Then we also did something. We had a letter that we created. We called it From the Desk of Coach Clayton. And once a week, we would send a letter out to the parents, and we would always let them know what was going on within the program, both athletically and academically.
Okay.
So we made sure they were aware of what was going on and if we had any issues that they needed to be aware of so that we could make that phone call if we needed to make sure that they implemented what they needed to do. So it's kind of, even before the university actually, in fact, I actually put together, when I said I was out of the women's for a while, we actually put together the first study hall for the student athletes. We put that together, and we had the different coaches from each team in attendance because the athletes were only going to do what they needed to do if their coach was there to follow up on them and make them do it, because, as you said, it wasn't really what they wanted to do. You know? So we had to have them as our background, as our backup and support to make sure that they followed the rules that we had, to be in the library, to not go by the library, sign themselves in, sign themselves out, and go somewhere else. So we were able to put together some things like that to be able to follow up on.
And see, I'm glad you explained that, because what you explained was my thought process of how the academic portion and how athletes were helped who were not going to the next level? Because, you know, I'm talking from I saw the movie, The Program, and I saw these, but seeing like through the lens of in a different world. And my mom, both my parents met at FAMU. My mom is a FAMU junkie, my dad a FAMU junkie. So I've always had the Black college lens of everything off the field. On the field was, you know, PWI, but off the field was the Black college experience. So what you explained is, in my mind, I thought that was the normal process until I learned, you know, every university doesn't do it. Like some universities literally treat these children like commodities. You come in and you fill a spot and you go. So that's one thing I do love about the HBCUs is it's a lot more family atmosphere.
Well, even in that, but see, you also have people that are always trying to get their hands on them. And I remember one president called me to his office and he was having a fit going off on me. And I had no idea what he was talking about. You don't let those young ladies be a part of the community. You don't let them do this. And you don't have them do this and that. And I'm like, what is he talking about? You know, for all the community activities we would have and attending church and doing different, I didn't understand what he was talking about. Then it dawned on me. And I said, Dr. Humphreys, I know what you're talking about now. He said, you do? I said, yes, sir. He said, the person that you talking about, they wanted your women's basketball team to participate in a fashion show that he was having, and he wanted them to wear lingerie. And I would not allow that to happen. Right. And I wouldn't let them participate in that. And he stopped and looked at me, and he said, for real? I said, yes, sir. He said, keep your hands on them. I'll handle it. Don't worry about it.
That's good.
But see, people do different things because you don't allow them the access to them or to do what they want. Now, that Coach Clayton, he this, he that. Well, it's some certain parameters that we had. It was like somebody asked me one time, well, you require them to wear dresses. You make them do this. And when they travel, would you do that with the guys? Yeah, absolutely. And we won with the men's team and went to the NCAA tournament, which we got thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in publicity playing in the first round of the tournament against Duke. They were like, I have a beard now, but I didn't when I was coaching because I wouldn't allow them to wear beards. They had to be clean shaven. They had to wear shirt and tie. Derek McGee, who's at North Carolina Central, assistant AD, he would bring extra ties when he was a player for the new guys because they might not know or forget. So one of the reporters said, I didn't know that about Florida A&M. He said, Florida A&M is like a Black version of Duke. And I was like, no, Duke is more like a Black version of FAMU. And they just bust out and started laughing. And one of the other reporters said, yeah, that coach right there, you got to be careful with him because he quick of tongue. So we kind of backed him up a little bit. But it was just the level that you had in terms of trying to instill in your men the discipline and the women when you had to be able to leave your institution and be able to do things.
Right.
I had a guy, he came to my office, Morris Scott, now he's assistant basketball coach in Louisiana. He says, Coach Clayton, I need help. I said, what you need help with, son? He said, I need help getting my check from financial aid office. I said, what's the price? The line is too long. I said, Morris, whose name is on that check? He said, mine. I said, we need to take your ass down there and stand in the line. My name ain't on the check. And so he said one thing he learned was that if it was something that he needed for himself, he needed to handle it himself. It wasn't somebody else that was going to pick it up and do it for him.
Right.
That's what I like about FAMU because FAMU has taught me. I've been to both a PWI and a HBCU because I graduated from FAM. And FAMU taught me to dress. Like when you go to an interview and being even in a position to where I hire people, some people don't even know how to come to an interview. And you don't wear these loud colors. You don't do this. You don't do that. We had a class called Professional Development, PD, made us go to school. Them women had to have stockings and 2-inch heels. And them teachers really made sure they went by and measured everything to make sure that those were there. We had to have on full suits. You couldn't wear them bright colors. You had to wear light blue, white, and that's it. Like the shirts under there, you need to wear a blue, black, or gray suit. Don't come in here with all these different shirt suits and things like that. You got to be professional when you go places, and that's one thing I really like about FAMU. And even traveling for FAMU, going to different conferences and stuff with them, it opened my eyes when we went places and people were just in khaki pants and a polo. This is not how you go and represent your school. We over here in three-piece suits and the girls in suits and blazers and skirts and heels, and they're telling me y'all just overdressed. No, this is how you come to an event. And so I had to learn that FAMU taught me a way to go because it sets me apart from everybody else because now I'm an individual and they see me and they be like, oh, okay, he took the extra step to do this. Let me see what he's talking about versus what these other people are talking about. It sets you apart from everybody else. And appearance is everything. And that's what I try to tell everybody. And FAMU has really instilled that into me.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we do and what I learned when I was there as well. And I've had people that have, and this is for all athletes out there, when you go for a job interview and your coach is not listed as a reference, they wonder what is wrong with you. Now that I learned from an interviewer, and I said,
Okay.
what is it? How you gonna have a young man or a young lady that played volleyball or played baseball and their coach isn't a reference? He said, well, that tells me then is they were not a team player or there was some issues with them in authority if they don't use their coach as a reference. And they said, we like athletes because working is a team organization.
Yeah.
And if they played a sport, they understand the concept of working together and all hands on deck for one purpose.
Right.
If you've never played a sport, you don't understand. You're the person that's sitting there saying, well, I'm the one doing all the work and they not participating. Well, if you're on a team, it don't matter who's doing the work. You got to get it done.
Yeah.
Working for me, you got to get the job done. You can't sit there supposed to have this report out for the CEO and you come back and say, well, so-and-so didn't help, so I didn't finish. You better have that sucker finish or you'll be looking for a new job.
Exactly. But yeah, FAMU and sports for me prepared me for the world. I remember waking up at 5 to make sure I could be at that financial aid line at 7 so I could be at the front.
And you were still late, weren't you?
Yes. But then I found the trick. I started to be in that top 5. So but it does prepare you. So you have your experience in coaching, you have your experience as an athlete, experience in coaching on the collegiate level. And now you've transitioned into the Insights TV and your Insights Network. So how did that transition happen? And could you tell us what Insights TV and your Insights Network is?
Okay, well, one of the things that happened was we started doing things with Insights, trying to prepare myself for life after FAMU.
Okay.
And I wanted to still be, man, I thought I was going to do a barbecue place. And my, every brother think he can cook barbecue. And my daughter was like, Daddy, if you do that, you know how much work it is in doing that and da-da-da. She said, you need to find something that people already know you for and be connected with it. So then we started doing sports talk shows and doing interviews with different people. Dr. Humphreys, doing Alvin Wyatt, one of the more infamous coaches at Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah.
One of his comments being, he said, man, I wouldn't let FAMU beat me in nothing. Somebody was going down the highway in a FAMU tag. I had to go by them and blow my horn. I don't care if they were doing 110. I had to do 115. He was just a different kind of guy, a great interview. And we ended up doing high school sports because we thought that high school sports were not receiving the attention that they were doing. And so in the space of about a month, we put together the high school program and started doing games and found a television station that would allow us to do it. And we also knew that being the only Black company in the state of Florida doing that and on television, it was going to be an issue.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing about it, Tallahassee's own, minority owned, the local media never did anything on us. They never did a story on it, never did what we were doing. Nothing.
Right.
But other times you understand that when you receive your calling, you know, you just do what you do. You don't worry about that end of it. Now, in the end, Leon County came to us and told us last year that they had hustled and they got another deal going. They wanted somebody else to do it, which was, I was expecting that, because everybody was trying to do it after we showed we could do it.
Right.
Because they pretty much told us we'd never be able to pull it off. And I'm one of those people that the more you tell me I'm not going to do something, I got a stronger point to prove.
Mm-hmm.
What the issue was is I never intended to do it past 3 years.
Okay.
I was already planning towards all the work that was going in doing it, all the time it was taking me as a retired person tying up every weekend. And then when basketball season comes 2-3 nights a week, you know, I was kind of being worked to death, and I wasn't really trying to work that hard.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID-19 came, and that kind of ended it for me. I mean, we did one game last year over with Gaston County with Corey Fuller and Deion Sanders' team. We did that game because they put us in a room. Nobody else was in the room. We probably had 2,500 people watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but one of the things we were doing was we were trying to give back to the community. We put a component in there, the Woodard Award. Arthur Woodard was a Hall of Fame coach and player from Florida A&M. The Woodard Foundation supported us giving an award to the highest academic, student, and athletic achievement, community involvement every game. And then at the end of the season, from football, basketball, track, every game we covered, we had a dinner, an award recognition dinner at Studio 13, at no cost to the parents and to them. And over the time that we did it, we probably honored over 100 student athletes.
That's great.
Because we wanted to recognize them. And we had parents come to us and say, we really appreciate what you're doing, because the award never went to the leading scorer, most touchdowns. It went to grade point average. And
That's
they
good.
said, we're glad that somebody recognizes all that we have emphasized as parents with our students for them to be sound academically. So, I mean, it was just something that we did. I mean, we did leadership academies where we had people come and speak to them. We'd go to different schools and we would have people talk to them about investments. We had Allison Posey from Channel 27 come and talk to them about how to conduct interviews. We just tried to cover different things, components that I had when I coached the basketball teams that I put together in terms of helping develop them as leaders and total people. So it was never just about doing the game. It was always trying to incorporate other parts of it into it to recognize the total student athlete.
Right.
And the kids used it because it was free. Now that was another part. It was free. Nobody paid for it. We encouraged the students to take the link, send it to college coaches to use it as a way to get scholarships. And we had a number of kids tell us that they used the link and sent it to colleges, and the colleges that followed it to see. So we had some people that acknowledged what we did, and we had a kid, true story, out of Georgia, Cook County. And when we first started, they kept asking us if we had ever heard of this running back. And we had no idea. Name was Brandon Doe. We had no idea who Brandon Doe was. And they would tell us, Doe can run. Doe can run. So as a junior, the game we did of him, he ran 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
University of Georgia saw him because he led the state of Georgia in rushing with 2,200 yards as a junior. University of Georgia offered it. This is going to a senior year, so I'm like, I don't see his name on the program. What's going on with Brandon Doe? They said, oh, you didn't hear about him? I said, what? They said he robbed a store and he got put out of school. So I said, what do you mean? They said, it's what they allegedly say. Brandon went in and held up the store, 7-Eleven, with his Cook County football shirt on. And the guy was like, Brandon, we in the same math class. I know you joking. And so the guy, they said Brandon pulled a gun and the guy ended up giving him the money and they put him out of school. His coach supposedly tried to work with him anyway.
Mhm.
I'm still saying, well, he can't be being recruited by Georgia now because he got himself in trouble. Let's see if we can get him at one of our HBCUs who work with him and try to help give him a second chance, help him overcome this. So we sending stuff out to different schools. Then somebody said, well, did you hear about Brandon? I said, yeah, I heard. They said, no. Did you hear recently what happened? I said, no, what happened? Christmas in Atlanta, he takes a gun, goes in, tries to rob a liquor store. He and the owner start shooting at each other. An innocent bystander gets shot, and the owner and Brandon get killed in the shootout. NFL potential. I didn't believe it. I had to put it in Google to see it come up. I mean, it was a major story in Atlanta.
Right.
But I mean, it's a kid we lost,
Mm-hmm.
And he's a kid that they tell the story. All the kids in South Georgia have heard the story about him, about trying to, do the right thing, don't get caught up in the wrong thing, and how quickly it could turn for you. But they said supposedly he got caught up in some gang activity in Cook County.
Right.
But we still have him on most of our highlight tapes that we do leading into insights, show him breaking away for a 65-yard run. He was special. He had potential to play on Sunday.
That's harsh to hear, because being as connected to especially football as I've been all my life, I've heard that story one too many times, or similar stories one too many times, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Right. So
I got another story for you. I got full of stories.
Oh, go ahead.
My wife works on campus. She was in contracts and grants, sponsored research. So I'm recruiting. She says, we have an institution in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Smith was instrumental in our relationship with them. And they're sending us over there to do X, Y, and Z and da-da-da-da-da. Do you want to go? And I'm like, okay, yeah. But she said, this is what you got to do. She said, I'll send you our information. You get a ticket. We'll go together, and you'll have stay with me. So I'm over. We're in South Africa. I sure wish I could remember the name of the college, but we were over there in Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban. Great experience, and to see how it was in Africa with the students, and they were just ending apartheid, and the kids were walking 5 and 10 miles to school, trying to go to school, feet all bloody, no shoes, nothing. It was really bad. But we tried. I had set up with this young lady for me to come back to Florida A&M to do an AIDS awareness clinic around basketball.
Right.
Using basketball as a way to get in, but we were setting up a AIDS awareness clinic. Why? AIDS was really going crazy at that time. Mm-hmm. And the older guys were using it to seduce the younger female students. And what they were telling the young girls was, if you have unprotected sex with me, my secretions are an antidote for AIDS, and therefore you will not be infected.
Right.
Doing what? Infecting the girls.
Right.
But they did not know, and so they were listening to what the older guys were telling them, and that's what the guys were using as a hustle. And I was so upset about it that we had set up with this lady who had worked with Mandela,
mm-hmm.
and we had the mayor that was willing to help us put this on, and we were going to come back and use that as a way to educate them.
Right.
And in the process, I found a 6'11" kid from over there that I was going to bring back to Florida A&M. But my tenure didn't last that long. I got fired, so all that got blown up in smoke. But it was just another instance of us trying to be able to use sports as a way to touch some of the kids.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I have on my personal time, I have a sports podcast that's on hiatus right now. But I did about 7 seasons. So one of my main messages was develop these kids' minds. I love sports, but develop these kids' minds. You're not gonna play sports for the rest of your life. let's say you are a stellar athlete. You retire at the age of 34. You don't die till you're 80. But what are you going to do between 34 and 80? But let's say you're stellar. This guy now, I went to high school. You probably remember Sammy Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Knight is
Godly quarterback.
No, his son that played at Ricketts with me.
Okay.
He was the best football player and the smartest football player I've actually had to see in person. And I just knew he was going to the league because he was one of the best. I just knew he was going to the league. Things didn't subsequently work out with that. But I just remember, and not just him, a lot of athletes, the emphasis was just on sports, just on sports, just on sports, just on sports. And it wasn't on academics, because I remember myself and a couple other people coming out of Ricketts in 2002. Oh yeah, we have something called clearinghouse. Well, what is that? And not being prepared for the process, but academically not being prepared, not being sound. And I want people to understand that these kids' minds can take them way further than their athletic ability. But if you can combine the mind and the athletic ability, there's no stopping these kids, and there are no limits to them. So just focus on developing their minds in the education, because that's going to take them farther than athletics.
I agree with you 100%. Unfortunately, what happens is, depending on an individual student's background, they may or may not have a parent that stays involved.
Right.
Or they may not even know. Secondly, if you have a coach that doesn't have that special interest, it doesn't happen either.
That's it.
That's why you have to have a coach that's really concerned with the total person, and we're trying to prepare students. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had students say, well, they didn't know X, Y, Z. And I said, man, you did know, because you was in the meeting when I said it. So there's always, you have to take some things with a grain of salt, but you also have some that really did not know. And as we recruited them, they didn't know they had to have certain academic requirements.
Right.
And see, now, in some cases, they were not a strong student to begin with. So they were trying to just get them out of school, and they would have them on a vocational track.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 10th grade, 11th grade, all of a sudden they explode, and they're like, wow, this kid is really good. He's already lost 2 years education because he stopped taking some of the basic courses that he would
Right.
need to get in college, because they had him on a vocational education track where he wasn't taking the academic classes.
Right.
So it makes it kind of hard, but we try real hard to educate and tell, but most of the time it's the people who not listening that need to hear the story.
There you go.
With what you do, it's different. The people who really need to hear the message you're trying to tell them are the ones who don't listen.
Yeah.
The ones that are following and getting the vaccination and wearing their mask, they're listening to you. But the others that need to hear what you got to say, man, they ain't trying to hear what you got to say. And you could walk over to them and talk to them, and they'll be real polite and say, man, I don't want to hear that. I ain't getting ready to do that.
Right.
You'll spend 15 minutes for nothing, because they turned you off from the minute you walked over to them.
That's true. That is true.
But you still have to keep talking to them. But until you talk to them one day and they say, man, I wasn't paying you no attention, but, man, my cousin got sick, and, man, now I tried, man, he told me I need to get a vaccine. I think I might need to get it now. Okay, well, let's hope you ain't positive now.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are our messages here. We inundating people with information. Information. We want you to make the best informed decisions, but don't try to play the system. Don't try to play the virus. Don't try to play your health and try to say, well, I don't need to do this and I don't need to do that, because you've made yourself an infectious disease expert overnight. That's not how this works. And we can see the numbers. The numbers are showing that these overnight experts not doing too well. So,
right.
So,
my wife said, she said,
media.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said they were just listening to different people from social media and different influences who don't know the facts, who just hear something and just run with it. And it's sad, but you're going to end up hurt or dead because you're listening behind people who got their own set agendas and just trying to get everybody else to jump on the bandwagon with them. And so people just need to stop being followers and be leaders and do it for themselves. If you're able to say, tell me a legit reason why you can't get the vaccine, then there's no sense in for you to do it. If you can't argue me down about why and the reason, and not just because such and such put it on social media, or just because, oh, I know some one person who died. We know everybody know one person who died, and it's not always guaranteed that they died from getting the vaccination. So it's just it's hard. It's hard to get people to understand and follow those things. Like I know it is with your sports team as well, because I'm sure you have them same students that feel they know everything about basketball or football, and you can't tell them nothing, and da 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 until it's too late.
And you're 100% correct. My wife says she may end up with COVID-19, but it won't be because she didn't respect it.
There you go. There you go. That's what we are.
Go. It ain't gonna be because I didn't respect it. I didn't get vaccinated and all that. I'm gonna be vaccinated. I'm gonna be double masked up. I'm gonna be all of that. So if I get it, ain't because I underestimated it.
Right. Right. So Insights TV. So that's your YouTube channel. I'm getting all the YouTube channel is Insights TV. INSIIGHTS TV. That's the YouTube channel. Subscribe. I'm subscribed. Go subscribe. If you like sports, you like good commentary, honest commentary, real commentary, and have access to high school football. This is a great football in North Florida, South Georgia. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe. INSIIGHTS TV. Visit the website at insights.com. INSIIGHTS.com. What is the best way for people to reach you? Someone see this? I want to interview Coach Clayton. He has great information. We want to bring him to our school, talk to our kids. Anything might want to bring you out for. How could people get in contact with you?
Man, I can be reached everywhere. You know, we got a website. We on Instagram, still the same INSIIGHTS. 2 I's in the middle. How many times have I heard somebody say, man, I spelled Insights, but I wouldn't come. Oh, John, remember you said 2 I's in the middle. So, why'd you do that? I said, well, 1 eye was taken. So we just put 2 I's in the middle and made it part of our marketing logo.
There you go.
And 2 I's in the middle. You know, we also have a Twitter page. I have one at Mickey Clayton, FL for Florida. Mickey Clayton, with Mickey spelled like Mickey Mouse. All us know the song. CLAYTON, just like I said, FL at the end. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. We got a website. You go to Insights. You can go to Mickey Clayton FL for my personal one. You can reach us at 850. We got so many numbers. 999-2870. I think that's our mobile number. You can reach us there. We have actually what we call Insights is up under our umbrella with MAC4 Enterprises. MAC4 Enterprises. And that's for my 3 daughters. All with the same initials as mine, MAC, which was my deceased father's name, Mac. So MAC4 Enterprises. We have a production studio that's under MAC4 Enterprises called Studio 13 over by the airport. Up until COVID-19, we used to rent the space out. That's where we also held our events for our Woodard Award winners. We produced a movie called Game Day, the movie. We wrote a book, so we're a published author called Freshman, and you can find that on our website, or you can order it from Amazon, and it's about 2 roommates at a HBCU back in the 70s and the stuff that they went through, mainly thinking that they players and thinking that they know life, but they didn't. And the women on the Black college campus taught them that they didn't know. As they also faced trying to play sports. They were athletes. And the $1 million question I get asked is, how much of that is real? I said that the names are 100% changed to protect the innocent.
Right. Right. Yes.
But I got all my basketball team members who played with me who went back, and They were like, wasn't this so-and-so? Didn't this happen to so-and-so? I said, I don't know. You know, but we had one piece in the story where we had two roommates, and one of them was found out his girlfriend was pregnant. Now, mind you, he had two girlfriends. Both of them had the same name. Both of them had the same name now.
No.
Basketball team, for real, that happened with two guys. Both of them had two girlfriends, and both of them had the same name.
Wow.
Yes, that name was Keisha.
So I won't say that, but he found
Somebody.
that his girlfriend is pregnant, right? So he's in the room with one of the guys, and he says, look, I'm going to see the other girlfriend because I just don't know what to do. He said, I'm just pissed off. I don't know what to do. So he goes to see the other girl. And when he comes back in, you know, when you in the dorm, you try to be quiet. You try not to make a whole lot of noise when you come in, especially at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. He come in slamming the door, and his roommate said, boy, what's wrong with you? He said, yeah. He said, man, so-and-so is pregnant. He said, yeah, I know. That's when you left here to go see the other so-and-so. He said, well, she pregnant too.
Yeah.
Both of them. He found out both of them pregnant on the same day. But
Good luck, my brother.
Hey.
Good luck with that. That's funny. That's funny. But that's why leadership is important.
That's the kind of stuff that happened in the book Freshman. You need to check out the book Freshman, y'all. We only have a limited number of quality original hardback copies left, but you can get an autographed copy by me, yours truly.
Yes,
but
yes.
It's all about, for me, people saying you can't do things. They said we couldn't do the movie and how much money it was going to cost us. Wrong. We did the movie, Game Day. The movie is set on what happens in a college, happens in the parking lot of an HBCU before the game.
Yeah.
Before the game. I was a booster director. And you could have it's enough stories that go on in the doggone parking lot, especially homecoming, that you sit there and one story. Coach, what, man, this homecoming. I got too much stuff. Coach, you need to come look in the back of this van. I'm not looking in the back of that van. Coach, come look in the back of this van. I'm not looking in the back of the van. Y'all setting me up. I got stuff to do. Man, come on, Coach. Look in the back of the van. It's a pole in the back of the van. Young ladies on the pole.
What kind of van is this?
In the back of the van at homecoming. I'm just telling you. Y'all need to see Fred. You need to get the book. You need to the movie. The movie hadn't been released. I still hadn't figured out what to do with it. But we had the movie. When we let people see the clip of it, they say, "Man, that thing is hilarious all the way through." And those type of stories and things happen. It's just incredible. The stuff we went through in the back in the doggone parking lot game time, especially homecoming.
Right.
It was just
man. And the book is available on insights.com.
It's available on insights.com and also on Amazon.
All right. Y'all go get y'all copies. I'm gonna get my copy. I like to read. We're gonna talk about this because now you done hit me with the cliffhangers. Now I got to know.
Now I want to see.
Right. Hey man. See, I definitely enjoyed this. This is how we do it here at Healthy Happy Hour, making sure we connecting our resources in our community to the people in the community, because we want to make sure we do our part in helping our community members help themselves get better. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, Coach Clayton, for coming by and giving us some great information and great stories. And we definitely will have to do this again. Definitely have to do this.
Man, I appreciate being here. I'm gonna leave you with this last story.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a car accident, going to the MEAC tournament when we won. And the people said, well, Coach, what happened? Everybody looks for angle for this story. I said, Coach, what happened to make you think it was going to be a great week? I said, I had no idea it was going to be a great week. I was in a car accident. I was in a ditch going to the airport, Anyway, Saturn, who was the car I was driving, they sponsored me to do some commercials and stuff, flew me out to San Francisco. I went out to Hollywood. That's a whole nother story. But I called my wife and I'm like, I'm in Chinatown, never been to Chinatown. And she says, what is it, the most striking thing about Chinatown? I said, I'm standing at this intersection and on the corner of every intersection is a Chinese bank. I'm looking at 4 Chinese banks right here in Chinatown where all their people can get money for what they want to do and how they stay together and support each other. The moral of the story, we don't support each other with anything positive. We'll carry a negative so quick and believe it even though they know that it ain't the truth. But if it's positive, they can care less about spreading it positive. And see, they do that, and I look at those other cultures, they stand behind each other and support each other. There's a whole lot of good in what you gentlemen are doing because it's a part of the community. You're trying to get people educated. You're trying to expose and work together. And as long as you continue to do that, your blessings will come to you in ways that you're not aware of. Because your plan, your road has already been decided. God has his plan for you. Every time you venture from it, stuff goes crazy.
Yeah.
And then you like, let me get myself back on the right path. And your blessings will be bountiful. Young man, I appreciate you having me.
Appreciate
Continue
you.
to do what you're doing. And anytime you need me, you let me know.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And everybody, this is how we do it here at Happy Hour. Thank you, Coach. And we'll see y'all next time.